Welcome back to my inner sanctum. I'm your hostess, Countess Elizabeth, mistress of the macabre. On today's tale, we're going to take a trip to an infamous island, a prison colony deep in South America. Although no longer in use, we will take a trip to Devil's Island. It held infamous prisoners and was sort of a French version of Alcatraz. We will take a visit to this French prison island and explore its infamy. So let us stow away on a boat to this island as we explore our grotesque curiosity. Devil's Island is a prison that lives in infamy. About 9 miles from Carew, a small coastal town in French Guiana on the northeastern coast of South America, is a group of 3 islands called Ile de Salut, known by English speakers as the Salvation Islands. The islands are mostly overgrown jungle which is slowly covering the remnants of an infamous French penal colony, where over 60,000 men were incarcerated and less than 2,000 survived. The penal colony of Cayenne, more commonly known as Devil's Island, after the smallest and most notorious of these prison islands, was established in 1852 and operated until 1953. The Ile du Diable was first used as a leper colony and later for incarceration of political prisoners. Due to treacherous rocks and strong cross currents around the island, safe access is only possible via cable car, which crosses 60-foot wide channel between Ile du Diable and the main island Ile Royale. This is where the general prison population is housed and allowed to roam with relative freedom. Solitary confinement was on the southernmost island, Ile de Saint-Joseph. Although escape was always on the minds of prisoners, it was virtually impossible because of sharks that circled the island, waiting for the bodies of prisoners who died in captivity. They were thrown into the ocean. There is a cemetery on the island, but few inmates are buried there. Inmates were stuffed into overcrowded cells, most no larger than a typical bathroom in someone's home. Isolation in a totally dark room, with no one to talk to for months at a time, was the punishment of choice. Some convicts were put into deep 12 by 12 holes with bars on the top, and were subject to all types of weather. Men went mad because of the beatings, both by guards and other prisoners, the solitary confinements, and the lack of food and water. Convicts were shackled day and night and fell prey to rats, army ants, and vampire bats. Ooh, vampire bats. Prisoners were forced to harvest wood from underwater and suffered backbreaking toil building a road named Route Zero that was never used. High-profile prisoners incarcerated at Devil's Island include Captain Alfred Dreyfus, a French military officer who spent almost 5 years on the island. He was accused of spying for the Germans in 1894 and sentenced to life imprisonment, known in history as the Dreyfus Affair. The trumped-up charges against Dreyfus were later found to be nothing more than just forgeries, and the entire fiasco of the Dreyfus Affair was mostly put down to anti-Semitism, as Dreyfus was Jewish. After several trials that were complete travesties, Dreyfus was acquitted in 1906. Convict René Belbenoit, who spent 6 years on the island, escaped by helping out a film company. He earned about $100 and used it to bring a Chinese merchant boat to the island. When it left, Belbenoit hid in the boat. He was dropped off on the mainland and spent several months recovering with a native tribe. He made his way on foot through South America, up through Central America and Mexico, and finally into the United States. Belbenoit published his book, Dry Guillotine, in 1938, causing the French to take a long, hard look at what was happening on the penal colony. French safe hacker, alleged pimp, and petty thief Henri Papillion Charrier is perhaps the most well-known prisoner to be held in Devil's Island. He was tried and convicted of murder in 1913 and spent 13 years in the notorious prison. Charrier maintained his innocence and claimed to have been framed. He made 2 successful escapes from the island. The first in 1916 was in a boat which he traveled about 1,800 miles to Maracaibo, where he was taken in by a native tribe. Not long after he left the tribe, he was recaptured and sent back to prison. He made 7 more attempts, and the final truly successful escape in 1944 saw him sail away on a raft built of coconuts. Not making that up, he built a raft out of coconuts. He then made his way to Venezuela and stayed there for several years, eventually opening a restaurant. In 1968, he wrote an autobiography called Papillion, which dealt with his time at Devil's Island. The book was an instant bestseller and was later made into a movie starring Dustin Hoffman and Steve McQueen in 1973. The success of the book was instrumental in allowing Charlier back into France in 1970. Devil's Island no longer houses criminals, and having closed down in 1953, and the group of islands has become a tourist attraction. Visitors are not permitted on Devil's Island and can only explore Royale Island, where a few cells in the administration building were kept. Well, that was truly a grotesque tale, one of intrigue and criminality. Devil's Island is a place that will live in infamy, but it seems many who ended up in such a place were never able to see the light of day again. There may have been hardened criminals who were placed there, but despite that, may their souls rest in peace. Thank you for watching the video. Subscribe, like, and share if you would also like to keep exploring our grotesque curiosity. We will meet again in the darkness of the night.